Homeless man approaches workers with a bold request. What happens next is jaw-dropping. Houseless people are often unfairly blamed for their lots in life. Sometimes it's easy to forget that most people living on the street didn't end up that way without a serious amount of unfortunate circumstances. So when one British contractor was approached by a homeless man, he wasn't sure what to expect. But when the man opened his mouth, he had a story to share that blew the entire construction crew away. J.J. Murray was a contractor for Empire UPVC and roofing specialist based in northern London. He and his crew had just arrived at the scene of a new roofing project in 2017 when they noticed a strange sight across the street. It was a beautiful county park filled with lush flowers and benches for relaxation. But on one of the benches there was a sleeping man who looked like he'd been there all night. As the workday started, the roofers kept thinking about him. Collectively, they wanted to do something for the homeless man. So as the day came to an end, JJ went over to the park, found the man, and offered him a cup of tea for the night. A very kind thing to do after a long day of work. The homeless man perked up and gratefully accepted their offer. However, before receiving his tea and thanking the workmen for their generosity, he asked a question that shocked them. The homeless man asked if they were in need of some extra help. JJ concluded that anyone willing to work should be able. All of the workmen agreed, and JJ instructed the man to meet them the following day. The next day, bright and early as always, the workmen loaded their vans and headed to their job. On the way to the site, JJ and his crew guessed the homeless man wouldn't follow through on his request. But there waiting for them was the homeless man, ready to start the day and earn honest pay. At the crack of dawn, no less. Impressed, JJ asked him his name. The man replied, John. Following a quick nod of approval, it was time to see if this rough sleeper could be of help to them. Sure enough, John worked non-stop and was always a step ahead of the crew. JJ had never seen someone so eager and happy to work before. He had no problem carrying roof tiles and bags of waste or moving around heavy equipment. Appreciative, the workmen thought of ways to help John out. It didn't go unnoticed that he'd shown up empty-handed, so they bought him a hot meal from Burger King. They also reassured John that he'd be paid a decent wage for his hard work. What John said next is what compelled Jay to share this story on social media. It struck a chord with the workmen, and it was something that most people with a steady job wouldn't have said. John thanked him but told the men that he only needed 15 pounds, $20, to get him through the rest of the week. There was no need to take more than that. He just wanted to take it day by day, and that was very humbling to hear. Still, John had really outdone himself, and the workmen wanted to give him more than just 15 pounds. Collectively, they pulled all of their cash together and presented it to John as the least they could do for his help. Now 70 pounds, approximately $90 richer, John was incredibly grateful for such generous pay. To the workmen, it may not have seemed like such a big deal, but to John, it was enough money to buy a lot of Burger King. Homelessness in the United Kingdom is a very real problem. Recent figures show that there are upwards of 300,000 homeless people in the country, and John is just one of them. This experience was a very telling one for JJ and the crew. After everything was said and done, John humbly thanked the workmen. But he had one final request before he left. At this point, JJ and his colleagues were willing to listen to anything he had to say. He asked if he could assist them in the future. Without hesitation, all of the workers agreed 1,000 times over that John was a hard worker and deserved the chance to earn a living. Before they left, JJ instructed him on where to meet them the following Monday. John, more grateful than he'd ever been, said something that broke their hearts. "Thanks, brothers," he said. "It's the most love I've ever had." For the first time in a while, John felt like he was doing something positive with his life. The truth is, we need to give more credit to people like John, who are trying their hardest to scrape by. Winters are hard for most people, but for homeless people, it's a matter of life and death. After years on the street, John was well aware of this, and so was Elmer. As a fellow homeless man, he could sympathize with John's situation. So when Elmer came across a fateful piece of paper, he knew he had the ability to change everything.